Okay, the draft is complete, the rosters are set, and I'm going to start off by showing you what exactly you're looking at as I go over the rosters with you. Okay, so you're looking at the Ohio Comets roster. You see the player names in the middle, and we'll get back to that. The first column shows you the former team the player played for and his former number. The second column tells you the position he played for on his former team, his old position. The third column shows the new position that the player has on his current team. That position is usually the same as his old position. And then the fourth column is the base number, and if you watched my last video, you saw a little number underneath the base of the player. That's what these are. And each of these numbers correspond to the name of the player, the actual name of the player. That's the fifth column. And then finally, the last column, sixth column, is the number he has now on his new team. So I'm looking at Ohio. Let's start off with the first guy. It's Mike Wizanski. He used to be on California. He was a kicker. He is a kicker now as well. The number under his base is number 2. Of course, that's his name, Wizanski, right? And then his number is 2. Now you'll see a color code here in the second column. That happens when there is a position change from his old team to his new team. So we look at this guy, Jorge Esteban. Okay. He started off in Virginia as number 94 as a right guard. He came to Ohio and he became the center. And then his new number is 56. Now you'll also see another color, and you'll see the color key down below here. That would be gray for position change, as I went over, and green for a rookie. So since season 1 ended, I've had a lot of turnover in talent because I've been constantly working to improve the overall talent level in the league. But a lot of those players have played in a lot of exhibition games, so I don't consider them rookies. For example, hit spaces came out after the conclusion of season 1, and now all of the tailbacks have hit spaces. But a lot of them have played in games. I only consider players rookies if they haven't played in at least one exhibition game leading up to this season coming up. Now that I have explained my roster sheets, let's get to my predictions for this upcoming season. We're going to start with the newly named Eastern Division and the Ohio Comets, because they, to me, are the overwhelming favorites to win that division. This team is stacked, and it's because of Jorge Esteban, Brian Bragg, Pete Stroud, Reggie Parker, Tyree Joseph, Ontario Jones. And we'll start by looking at the offensive and defensive line up here. You know these guys are two-way players. So 94, Jorge Esteban, the right guard of Virginia, was drafted, and he became the center. This makes the middle of Ohio's line stronger because the guy who was center stayed on the team, Brian Bragg, and got bumped out to right guard. Keep in mind, this is a team that went to the championship game last year. They got beat there, but they just became stronger in the middle of their line. And they added Pete Stroud, another really good player in the interior of the line. He was with the Pennsylvania Bucks last year as number 63 as a left guard and left defensive tackle. And then we come down here and look at these 3 impact players on offense. Ontario Jones, formerly number 42 of Pennsylvania, wide receiver, can absolutely take over a game. I've seen him get over 200 yards receiving in one half. And then at the other wide receiver position, the Comets drafted Tyree Joseph, formerly number 87 of Texas. And if you want to see what he's capable of, go back about 8 months and watch a Nevada-Texas game, and see the clinic he ran on Nevada. I think he got over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely uncoverable. I don't think it's fair to have these two on the same team. But then you add Reggie Parker. You know what Reggie did against Ohio in the championship game? See, Reggie played for the Arizona Flames, and he scored 4 touchdowns against the Comets. 3 on offense and 1 on an interception return. Go back and watch a tournament championship game. Number 20, Arizona Flames. You will be number 29 for the Comets, slot back in safety. This roster is going to be tough to beat. Okay, so my pick for second in the Eastern Division is the Pennsylvania Bucks. I like their wideouts. I got Matt Verhoeven from Texas, played 86 for Texas, and then Nick Damone, who is the speedster from Virginia, played as number 81 for Virginia. He can definitely outrun any coverage. Up here on the offensive and defensive line, they picked up Brad Andreski, formerly numbered 66 with the Arizona Flames. You can go back and watch the championship game. He was part of that Arizona dominant defensive line. The question mark for me on this roster is Moses Black, rookie, tailback. If he gives the Bucks what I think he can, then this is definitely a playoff contender. Then the Bucks got tight end, right inside linebacker Whitney Smith, formerly of Texas. He can be tough to cover. Another solid addition is on the interior of the offensive and defensive line, Dutch Brown, formerly number 62 of California. Moving on to my pick for third place in the Eastern Division is the Florida Whales. They didn't win any games in Season 1, but I expect that to change. And if some things break right for them, I could see them grabbing second place in the Eastern Division. We start off with Mason Randolph, formerly number 22 of California, wide receiver. Very dangerous player. Then Zeke Adams, a tailback, formerly with the Virginia Pirates, and a very productive player in the exhibition games, and he's got great speed. Next we go to the offensive and defensive line, and Kyle Nolan. You'll remember him as number 79 with the Arizona Flames in the tournament championship game, and also in the Western Conference championship game, where he closed out games with sacks. After coming to Florida, he's been moved to the left side of the line, so I don't know how that position change is going to work. As a matter of fact, you can see that along that line, there are 4 guys switching positions, and it was definitely the best thing for the team schematically, but I don't know how it's going to all pull together, so I'm going to give that a big question mark for right now. And probably the biggest reason that I have dropped Florida to third place in my predictions. And that brings me to my prediction for last place in the East. That's the Virginia Pirates, another team loaded with question marks. You got 4 guys changing positions along the line, and what was particularly disturbing to me about that was the guy who came over as right tackle, Clyde Raines, became the center. Now, the tackle position in the AEFL is normally the weakest position along the front line, because remember, these guys are all two-way players, so the guy playing tackle on offense is also doubling as an edge rusher on defense, so he's a quicker player. But Raines came over, and he was the strongest guy on this line. So I'm just not sure about this front line for the Pirates, and it is definitely a concern. I mean, they did get Sam Pope here from Texas, and he's a dominant player in the interior, but once again, he's switching positions. But we'll see how it works out. Honestly, their receivers don't particularly inspire me either, but James Sanders, former tailback of the Ohio Comets, he's a good player. And Evan Young, formerly number 81 for the Pennsylvania Bucks, has shown a lot of ability as a tight end and a linebacker. Go back and look at the Pennsylvania Bucks in the prior exhibition game and in the playoff game against the Ohio Comets last season. The questions I have along that front line are the biggest reason that I am dropping them to fourth place. But this is why we play the games. Okay, moving over to the Western Division. I've made a big deal about the Ohio Comets in the Eastern Division. The Texas Tornadoes would like a word. Let's start with Dixon Kennedy, wide receiver, formerly 83 of the Florida Whales. Go watch him against the Pennsylvania Bucks in the fourth quarter of the exhibition game I ran not too long ago. And you tell me you're going to pair him up at the other wideout with Donovan Horn, formerly number 21 of Nevada? Go watch Donovan Horn and his gameplay against the Texas Tornadoes 8 months ago. Texas got Ike Thomas, a playmaking linebacker from Florida, and they also drafted Dewante Hill, formerly 28 of Florida, tailback. You might remember him from a practice play against the Pennsylvania Bucks in an AEFL rule changes video where he makes this dynamic run up the sideline for a touchdown. And also, you can check him out in an exhibition game against the Virginia Pirates. Kid can play. Texas also picked up Carl Spoon, a dynamic playmaking tight end from the Comets. Frank Mazzelli, pass rusher from the Bucks. And they were able to keep a really good player, Jerry Gonzalez, on the interior of that offensive and defensive line. You can see him harassing Trayvon Adams of Nevada in the last exhibition game. Overall, I could very easily see a championship meeting between the Tornadoes and the Comets. Now we move on to my pick for second place in the Western Division, the California Pacifics. We start with Napoleon Washington, wide receiver, formerly number 25 with the Pennsylvania Bucks. He is a weapon. And if you watch the last exhibition game I ran, you'll see Aaron Brown, former Texas tailback, on display. He now plays for California. The Pacifics pick up two good linebackers, Byron Wash from Texas and Jordan Hammer from Nevada. And Hammer doubles as a very good receiving tight end. You can see Hammer catching a couple touchdown passes for the Blackjacks in exhibition game action. Then Craig Van Zant, formerly of Florida, provides the Pacifics with another weapon in the slot. Leslie Johnson, center and nose guard, will be a strong anchor in the middle of that line. And he'll continue to wear number 50, as he did with the Pennsylvania Bucks. This is definitely a team that could make a playoff push as a wild card. All right, let's move on to my third place prediction, the Arizona Flames, the defending champion Arizona Flames. But this is a team that has lost everybody except for inside linebacker Leroy Morgan. Spelled incorrectly there, by the way. There shouldn't be an E in his last name. He has a great combination of strength and speed, and he's going to be paired with a playmaking linebacker that they got from Florida, used to be number 10. That's Vance Long. A tremendous receiver, Kareem O'Brien, comes over from the Comets. And the Flames also pick up former tailback of Nevada, Ulysses Campbell, who had a pretty good game in the last exhibition matchup against Texas. Interior lineman Jeff Love comes over from the Comets. He's a pretty good player. And Noah Wiggins will now wear 79 for the Flames. He has big shoes to fill, as Kyle Nolan was a star with that number before him. But he is a pretty good edge rusher coming over from the Pennsylvania Bucks. I could see Arizona pushing California for that number 2 spot in the West. It will be interesting to watch, that's for sure. Finally, we come down to my pick for the 4th spot in the Western Conference, the Nevada Blackjacks. We'll start with the good. Waylon Irving is a really good receiver coming over from California, where he used to wear number 80, now taking Donovan Horn's old number 21. Rookie tailback Orlando Moore is the question mark here. I just don't know what exactly to expect of him, although he does look great in practice. Elvis Sarapo, formerly number 44 for the California Pacifics, will bring some playmaking ability to the slot. Tanner Jones was a disruptive playmaker on the defensive line for the Arizona Flames during their championship run. And he'll certainly be an upgrade for the Blackjacks in that position. Overall, I just think this team lacks the firepower it needs to be competitive with the other teams in the division. All right, you just got my best take on all these teams. I think it would be pretty funny if I was completely wrong. We will find out. And here we have the Season 2 schedule rollout. The teams will be playing 10 games, 88 games in all. For each week's worth of games, I'll probably try to pick one game out to film. I will pick a game based on who I think is either the best matchup for that week or what game has the most on the line for the teams involved. Something else I might consider is if I have a couple games coming down to the wire during a week, I might just whip out the camera and record the end of a couple of them if I have more than one, and sort of put together a late game highlight video for y'all. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. One is that a week's worth of games may take a couple of actual weeks to complete. And also, when I record a full game, it usually takes me about a week to edit it for presentation. With all that in mind, let's hit the ground running with week 1, and let's close it off with a bang. You heard me talk about the Comets and the Tornadoes. They're going to square off in the last game of week 1. I can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be a very important game also for the final standings. A lot of things may be on the line in this game if these two teams are what I think they are. And I do plan to film it. My screen's cutting off some of the schedule, so I'm just going to scroll through here so you can see the entire schedule through week 10. As you look that over, I'm going to now touch on the playoff format. So the top seed for the playoffs will be one of the division winners. Whoever has the best record as a division winner will be the top seed. And the top seed gets an automatic placement in the championship game. The top seed will then wait for the winner of a semifinal playoff game between the second and third seed teams. Then the top seed and the winner of the semifinal playoff game meet for the AEFL championship. I like doing it this way because then we can conceivably have 2 Eastern Division teams or 2 Western Division teams playing for the championship, instead of just limiting it to East versus West. Before we end the video, I wanted to touch on a subject that I led off the last video with. You might remember that I was working on a mold to make the crossbar and support structure of the goalpost all as one piece. So here's the result, and then I just used a Dremel to put guide holes in either end of the crossbar and added the uprights. On the bottom, I attached a strong magnet by roughing up one end of the magnet and securing it to the bottom platform with Gorilla Glue. The result is I have a sturdier goalpost, and we can just also slide it out of the way if we need to when receivers are in the end zone. Okay, so it's on to Season 2. I'll probably start playing games this weekend, and I will start putting stuff up on the channel as soon as I have good content to share. As always, thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.